Welcome back to Chin Music, our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. We are coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. We're presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages. That's Gigli, Gigli.com. Promo code TalkNorth to get 50% off your first order. And Onyx Hunt, we'll tell you more about Onyx in a second. Thanks also to Clamshell Beach Resort, Minnesota Masonic Charities, and Chew Vision Institute. We appreciate all of our sponsors who have enabled us to grow Talk North and have fine people like Roy Smalley and LaVelle Neal III on the network. A lot of problems to talk about. We're going to start today with a ray of hope because why not? Luke Keaschall looks like he's been in the big leagues for 10 years. I wasn't sure they should have called him up given his lack of experience coming off of an injury. And man, now I don't think he's ever going to go down. Roy, why don't you start the Luke Keaschall discussion?
Well, I agree with you. He just looks like a big league player, doesn't he? He's just fun to watch because he injects a level of enthusiasm and obvious confidence and daring. That's really unusual for a young player just getting his first taste of the big leagues. And I've gotten a big kick out of that. I tweeted about this the other day when I was watching a ball game, and I think it was Glenn Perkins was the analyst, and he and Corey Provis were talking about his eye at the plate, his selectivity and his patience. All true, but what jumped out to me is this fact: you can tell a lot about what kind of hitter a guy's going to be is going to be by how he takes pitches. Not the fact that he takes them, not the fact that he has a good eye at the plate and is willing to take walks. That's really good, and Keaschall has that. But what jumps out to me is the position that he is in mechanically, the position his body and hands are in as he's taking pitches. And so you can get in your mind's eye a picture of guys as they take a pitch, their bat, it's a check swing or the bat's coming forward. If your hands have moved from launch position back at the very back part of the get ready, and they come forward as you're taking a pitch, it means that you've anticipated a certain speed, and then you take the pitch. Sometimes because it's not a strike, but most times that's coincidental. Most times it's because you're not in hitting position when the ball comes into the hitting zone. Your hands have already moved forward. And when Keaschall takes pitches, and I've watched him now several at-bats, and when he takes pitches in the launch position. In other words, his foot is down, his hands are back, and he's ready to swing, but he recognizes that it's not a pitch he wants to swing at, and he takes it. That's totally different. And oftentimes you can tell, whether a hitter's going to be a good hitter, and especially you can tell if a guy's in a good place in the box. If he's feeling good, you can tell by where his hands are, where his body is. There is no front hip starting to bail. There is no hands, because if it starts to bail, your hands come forward. There's none of that. His hips are, when he takes a pitch, his foot's down, his hips are square, and his hands are back. And I just think, I was looking at that going, man, is he that comfortable? Are his mechanics about when he decides to let his hands go that good? We'll see. But so far, what I've seen from him tells me that he has gotten to the big leagues on his ability to hit. His ability to hit is based on a lot of things, including good mechanics. And so far, we're seeing those good mechanics here in the big leagues. I mean, it's, we'll see, but it's all extremely positive for me right now.
I got a crazy, before we get to LaVelle, I got a crazy comp for you. Paul Molitor, but not Twins Paul Molitor, who had refined his hitting stroke where it was just almost a flick, where there was almost no movement except for the bat head. Young Paul Molitor, if you go look at videos of him when he was young and with the Brewers, and he had a lot of movement at the plate and they just slashed, but he never got out ahead of himself. He always stayed back and he was always in a hitting position. And is that anywhere near legitimate as a comparison?
Yeah, I think it is, because the comparison is not is not, maybe he's going to be the next Paul Mullen.
No.
That's not the comparison. No. The comparison is, what do good hitters do?
Right.
How do good hitters look when they take pitches? And that was true about Paulie, and it's true right now about Keaschall.
LaVelle.
One thing, Luke Keaschall's only been in our lives for about a week and a half. So, you kind of look for those initial traits and start putting a picture together of what he's going to look like as an offensive player. Is he checking his swing a lot? Is he having trouble catching up with major league fastballs and things like that? You look for the positives because teams are going to adjust and attack until they find a weakness somewhere. The one thing jumps out to me that it's encouraging is that he's not getting beat inside. He's getting the bat head around, and he's hitting line drives to left field, and so he's letting it be known that that's an area where he's not going to get beat on. Now, I'm sure they're going to start trying to change speeds to try to get him fishing down and away at things, but I like that one aspect about him, and I like his swing, and it's amazing that he comes up, and after a few good games, Rocco's got him in the 3-hole. That just tells you where this Twins offense is right now in terms of finding someone reliable to get a hit in the top half of that batting order. It's rather remarkable. But Keaschall shows a lot of promise. Had a chance to see him a little bit in spring training. And, you saw the ball jumping off his bat, and you're saying, okay, this is a guy that looks like he could do something. And now we're seeing it up here. So good start, and let's see how far he can ride this wave. And now I want Roy to break down Carlos Correa's swing.
well, one more thing on Keaschall. And
yeah, I've got one more thing too, based on what LaVelle just said.
Yeah, and listen, everybody in this business, other than maybe Roy, is guilty of jumping out ahead. Getting our bat head out a little too early. But Keaschall's their best hitter right now. He just is. Maybe that'll change, but right now he's their best hitter.
Something that LaVelle just said, the main point LaVelle just made is an even further substantiation of what I'm talking about. Yes, he's getting the bat head out. He's able to hit the ball at the inside fastball right now, but it's not because he's cheating. If he were cheating on it, you'd see his hands coming forward on an awful lot of pitches. He wouldn't have walked. He wouldn't have taken as many pitches as he's taken on the breaking balls away. And that's what's even more encouraging is the fact that he is waiting to see the ball in the hitting position and not jumping out there to make sure he catches up with the inside fastball. So you're right, LaVelle. I mean, he's got the ability to do that without having to cheat so far. And what will be his what he will need to do, his big improvement or his big steps in the big leagues will be if they really start pounding him in hard, then how does he respond to that? Does that throw off what we're talking about here, or is he able to say, okay, they're pitching me in there, so I'm going to cheat on some of that a little bit, and then I'm going back to my regular approach so that I'm not chasing, changing speeds and changing locations. But so far, what I've seen, I would give the nod to his being able to do that. But the thing about, being a good big league hitter is you have to be able to change your approach mid at bat if someone's doing something specific. And, early in counts, maybe cheat on a certain pitch or a certain location. And then as the at bat goes on and you get a strike or two on you, then, give up that cheat a little bit and just go back to your normal approach that he has right now. That will be tested. He'll have to figure that out. But I'm going to bet on him being able to do that so far.
Well, that's the good. Now we got to talk about the rest of the team. Before we do that, let's all take a deep breath. And I do want to remind you, we're coming to the Aquarius Home Service Studios. We're presented to you by Giggly THC Beverages. I'm drinking this stuff all the time. Listen, I still love having a good cocktail on the weekend, but if it's Tuesday night and I got to be up early for whatever reason on Wednesday morning, I'm finding it's a much better choice to drink a Giggly cocktail. And my wife likes the teas. They also have very low calorie, low THC seltzers that taste great as well. And the flavors sound kind of wild, like blueberry lemonade, raspberry ginger mule. They just taste good. I like all of it. The blood orange margarita, I love the pineapple mojito, the seltzers. Again, my wife prefers the teas. It all just tastes good. It's healthy, low ingredient, bold flavors, and it's a Minnesota business. You can find them in Quick Trip trips around Minnesota. Every Quick Trip's going to carry them. I see them at all my local liquor stores. It's reasonably priced, especially when you compare it to a cocktail at a local bar. I highly recommend everything about it. Great company, Giggly.com. Use the promo code GIGLI North, Giggly North, to get 50% off your first order. And again, I highly recommend it. Also have a question for you. Have you ever driven past a piece of land and wondered who owns that, or maybe you need to know exactly where a property line runs? That's where Onyx Hunt comes in, and it's not just for hunters. There are folks using Onyx for their jobs every day throughout the country. From farmers and ranchers mapping out their fields, wildland, firefighters navigating rough terrain, to construction workers needing to know who owns what property, this app offers something for everyone. If you need the best land ownership maps, aerial imagery, and property boundaries in your pocket, Onyx Hunt is the tool for the job. Try it free for 7 days. Download Onyx Hunt in the app or Google Play Store, or visit onyxmaps.com/hunt to get started. Also, thank you to Aquarius Home Services.
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. They say knowledge is power, and power is having a great plumber and electrician on speed dial. Enter Aquarius Home Services. Whether your toilet's bubbling like a science experiment or your lights are blinking like a strobe light, we have you covered. Plus, get $98 off any electrical or plumbing repair. Schedule today at AquariusHomeservices.com and let the experts handle the chaos. Aquarius, earning the right to be recommended.
All right, guys. So terrible weekend in Atlanta. No clutch hitting. Come home, beat a terrible White Sox team 2 games, and then do nothing with the bats on Thursday. Listen, they faced a good young pitcher, but still, I didn't like the quality of at bats. Let's start with LaVelle. I'm your classic old school baseball writer who tells people all of April, the season's not over. You still got a lot of games left. But what is the level of worry about this team right now?
I think it should be sizable. Personally, I was there for Tuesdays and Wednesdays game. I will tell you that the atmosphere at the ballpark was very weird on Tuesday before that first game against the White Sox. Just strange in the clubhouse before and even after the game, and they won that game. You talk to Twins officials around the ballpark, and they look up in the stands and see there's only like 10 or 11,000 in the stands, and that's announced. It's probably less than that. And they're like, we need to start winning games, and you can see that concern. I mean, they won the first 2 games against the White Sox, and they lost on Thursday in a rain-shortened game. And it feels like they lost the series, instead of taking 2 out of 3. That's how desperate everybody seems to be for victories over there. I was talking to a Twins official after Wednesday's game, and he lamented. He was like, and the person was like, he's worried. He doesn't see the fire on the field. And I was like, well, that usually happens when you're not hitting, And then I also pointed out the last time you guys tried to address fire on the roster, you added Josh Donaldson and overcorrected. Yeah, you're right. But those type of thoughts are going on over at Target Field right now because we got off to a crummy start. The last 2 off seasons have not been fulfilling from a fan standpoint. The sell of the team is who knows where that's at right now. There's been no reports or updates of anyone stepping forward with a serious offer. And as I've pointed out a couple of times, it seems like there's a black cloud hovering over Target Field right now, and they got to figure out a way to move that cloud. The only way to do that is by winning, and it really looks bad when it takes everything you've got to win by 2 or 3 runs against a White Sox team that is on pace to finish even worse than they did last year when they lost 122 games, which seems to be impossible, but that's where they're at right now. So, they got to stack wins. They got to stack series wins. It doesn't get easier. They've got Angels this weekend, and then they're at Cleveland, and then they got the Red Sox, and they're back in the meat grinders. So they dug themselves a hole, and it's not going to be easy to dig themselves out.
Yeah, it's really all true. And I think what concerns me is that, as you guys know, I've been talking for a while about my concern about the offense. And I mean, this is before the season started, and I thought that might be the key thing, kind of a tipping point, one way or the other. They're either going to be pretty good or not so good. And what concerns me is, almost a month in here, it looks like it looks like the not so good, and it doesn't mean that that's the way it's going to be all year. As I mentioned, and keep harping about, these guys are, all of them are streaky, and so we could get a streak where Royce Lewis comes back and gets hot, Buxton gets hot, Correa gets hot, and it all happens at the same time, and they're going to look like world beaters, and they're going to win a lot of games. But the issue is whether they've got enough to overcome the strikeouts and the streakiness that everyone in the lineup seems to have. And I've been worried about it since we wrapped up the season last year, and they haven't done anything to make me stop worrying about it. I'm willing to say that there are going to be some really good and extended streaks. I'm willing to say that there's going to be a guy, maybe it's Buck, maybe it's Royce Lewis when he gets back. There's going to be a guy that steps up and carries the team. But to this point, I haven't seen a candidate. And, I don't want to, we keep going back to, Nelson Cruz hitting third. There was a reason why that was so important to me way back when. And I think we're, the second half of last year, last 2 months of last year and the first month of this year, I think we're seeing why that was so vitally important. They've got a bunch of pretty decent hitters that tend to be a little streaky, but at this point, there's no team carrier. And there's a lot of one-sided hitters, left-handed or right-handed, that don't hit the left-handers not hitting left-handers, right-handers not having a hard time against right-handed pitching, and so that leads to that streakiness. And Rocco's thinking, okay, how do I make a lineup here against this right-hander? When Buck's struggling against right-handers and Correa's struggling against just about everybody right now, and Wallner and Larnick aren't great against left-handers. What do I do here? And so that's the issue that I see, and it can all turn around. I mean, this is baseball. This is hitting in the big leagues, and it can all. And these guys are big league players, and it can all turn around, and they can all be. It could be a streak, just a bad slump for everybody at the same time, and they can all get it going. And I'll be wrong about this. So I'm hopeful. I'm really hopeful. But so far, it just looks like what I've been concerned about.
Yeah, you were absolutely right. And I think this team is really dependent on Royce Lewis being in the lineup and being good Royce Lewis, not the Royce Lewis we saw at the end of last year. And do we have any injury updates on that, LaVelle?
He is starting a rehab assignment Friday, today. This is being taped for St. Paul. So he may be, and apparently he's going to play every day at third base. So he could be ready here in about 5 or 6 days and be back in the lineup. And you guys are right about Royce possibly being the difference maker. Don't forget, this is the guy that Rocco said was probably his best option to be cleanup hitter, which is scary to think for a guy who I don't think has played 150 games in the majors yet. They may have just barely played 150 games, but that shows you that the lineup does not have a cornerstone. It doesn't have a fulcrum. It doesn't have an anchor. All the stuff that Roy alluded to, which is scary. So they also need some charisma. and Royce definitely leads the club in that. So they can't wait to have him back in that lineup.
Okay, let's get in some other things, and we will wrap up the show with our Booze and Blues segment. We do want to have you listen to Talk North star Michael Russo for Clamshell Beach Resorts.
Hey, have you been dreaming of a lake cabin lifestyle with boating, fishing, and family fun in northern Minnesota? Well, lately I've thought a lot about how cool it would be to have a getaway like so many Minnesotans. And if you're like me, you probably think that owning your own lakeside getaway is beyond your budget. Well, if you think lake cabin real estate prices keep going up, well, think again. This is Russo, and I'm here to tell you there is an affordable way to enjoy a cabin lifestyle and all that goes with it. And yes, I said affordable. I founded a Clamshell Beach Resort, which is located on the Whitefish chain of 14 lakes for you and your family to enjoy. Here's how. Clamshell has lake homes that offer deeded fractional ownership, and the keywords there are deeded and fractional. You own it. Imagine having 5 weeks a year to enjoy Clamshell with its beaches, pool, and lodge that's full of kids' activities. Is golf your game? There's a great golf course right across the road. Like winter sports? Well, you can go ice fishing, cross-country skiing, or snowmobiling right out the door at Clamshell. And there's no maintenance, no grass mowing, no snow removal. It's done all for you. And you can own a share of Clamshell Beach Resort at an affordable price. To learn more about ownership opportunities at Clamshell Beach Resort, go to cottagesonwhitefish.com or contact Pat Egan at 612-220-9819. That's cottagesonwhitefish.com or Pat Egan at 612-220-9819.
Thanks also a great Minnesota company. I know we had Henry Lake on Don Mitchell's show this week, and he does work. You know, he knows the people over at Minnesota Masonic Charities. He raves about them. Such an important Minnesota company, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And here's another Talk North star, John Krasinski. Check out the John Krasinski Show on the Timberwolves playoff run. Here's John on True Vision Institute.
True Vision Institute in Bloomington. I've been telling you about it for months now. Just a life-changing experience for me to go to True Vision and have LASIK surgery this summer. Everything is easier for me after having LASIK surgery. I don't have the hassles of contacts and eyeglasses. I don't have to worry about going in for annual appointments to get the eyes checked, and also to make sure that I have the latest and greatest style of glasses, and I'm not looking like some washed up 46-year-old like I am, trying to stay ahead of the trends. I don't have that anymore. I'm just going around free and clear without anything on my face. And that's all thanks to the good folks at True Vision. When you go into True Vision, you will immediately notice how welcoming, how warm, how friendly, and how knowledgeable the staff is there. They get you in, they get you checked out, they find the right vision correction options for you. And then Dr. Chu is just world class in how he helps you through the procedure, how he makes sure that he gets you taken care of, and like he did with me. And I've had zero issues with my vision since I had the surgery in July. And I just keep kicking myself and wishing I would have done it 10 years ago. So go to truevision.com and set up your consultation. Tell them the John Krasinski Show sent you, and get on with your life. Make it easier on yourself, and just get to the point where you can kick your own self in the butt and say, why didn't I do this a long time ago?
All right. Boy, it's been hard to watch. I'm going to go here. I miss having Roy on the broadcasts. I do think Glenn Perkins does a really good job. He's very analytical. He was an intelligent player. He can really explain some things that the average fan might not grasp in very easy to understand language. I appreciate that. I found it interesting the other day, Roy, that Perk was talking about Byron Buxton and saying, hey, I know he swings out of the zone. he gets himself out sometimes. He goes through bad streaks because of that. But, if he took more pitches, maybe that would erase the aggression that makes him, capable of hitting home runs and being a positive offensive player. I wonder if that's true or if that's Perk being nice to Buxton because Buxton's a nice guy. Wouldn't Buxton be better overall as an offensive player if he did have a better batting eye, if he was more selective?
Well, sure he would. But here's the thing about being selective and having a better eye and all that kind of stuff. The lack of all of that is really approach, not ability to have a good eye. And it's not simply over aggressiveness. It is aggressiveness hunting the fastball to left field. And if you see a guy swinging a ball up and out of the, up high out of the zone or inside, you see this with Ryan Jeffers right now. No balls, no strikes, step in the box, shoulder high fastball on the inside, inside part of the plate or off the plate, swing and miss, strike one, and the at bat's pretty much over. And Buck does that a lot. He's hunting fastball so hard to hit the ball, out of the ballpark to left field. And he would probably say, no, I'm really not trying to do that. But the results speak for themselves. When you're trying to pull the ball and you do pull the ball and it is 80 feet foul into the left field seats, if your zone for hitting the ball is straightaway left field to straightaway Herbeck's restaurant, you're trying to pull the ball too much. And when you're trying to do that, you swing at bad pitches. It's just the way it is because you're hunting inside fastball so much. And again, for people that listen to us here talking, ranting and rambling as I do on the show, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for listening to this. But as much as you do, and we appreciate it. But I got to get back to it again. You have to be able to move your sights into the center of the field a little bit if you're going to take full advantage of your talents. He has tremendous talent. He can hit the ball on the third deck on any given fastball at any given time. But the question is, how do you get consistency out of that talent? And it's always been an issue for Buck. There's no way with that approach, in my view. There's no way with the approach that he has had over the last 4 years when he's been in the lineup and healthy. No way that he should be able to do the things that he's done. No way that he should have the on-base percentage or the on-base plus slugging percentage that he's had. It's just incredibly superior talent. But for my money, and maybe for the Twins' money, it's not enough. They don't get enough out of him. And I really think it's a question of forget about the inside fastball, take it until you get 2 strikes, set up to hit the ball in the center of the field, and be as aggressive as you want to center field. I'm not saying, take pitches. I don't want him to take strikes. Every time he swings at a strike, he's kind of like Puck in that way. I mean, if you throw him a strike, he's got a chance and to do something really big, but not if you throw him a strike while he's hunting fastball to try to hit it 9 miles to left field. And he's got too much speed not to put the ball in play all the time. He's got too much strength not to be comfortable hitting the ball to right center because he can flip it off the right field wall or over it as well as anybody. It's just not enough. For me, it's not enough to say, yeah, but look at the streaks he'll get in and think about the streaks he gets in. He'll hit 5 home runs in 10 days. And where are they? They're all straightaway left field to down the line. Every single one of them. And it's just an indication of that streak's going to end at some point in time. And we're going to get 6 strikeouts in 2 games like we did this past week. And I love the guy. He's a wonderful guy. He's got more talent than than most that have ever played the game. And now, okay, what do what do you do with it now? As you're a mature player, what are you going to do with all that talent? Because you're just not getting enough out of it, in my humble estimation.
I agree. LaVelle, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still holding out hope that he can make those type of adjustments in terms of his approach at the plate. I remember just one of his predecessors, Torrey Hunter, having a really nice run in his career once he reached his 30s, understanding how pitchers were working him, having a better idea of how he was being pitched, and using the whole field. And Torrey became a really good hitter, and it's 32 when he's 32 to 34. Even 35 years old. I think he hit 20 home runs in his final year. He's had a really nice run as he figures some things out. I'm hoping Buck gets to that point because as a solid hitter Torrey was, Buck has the potential of being even a little more explosive if he understands the benefits of just getting the 1-0 in the count. Changes a lot for him. It seems like no matter how he starts, or it seems like he ends up 1-2 in every account he has. Now he's trying to survive. And I want him in a spot where he can thrive, not just trying to survive. And that's going to start when he understands that teams know what he is, and they're going to throw him breaking stuff down and away early in the count and see if he can get himself out. And he's got to prove that he can hit the ball hard over the second baseman's head. I think if that keeps him locked in, then he'll have better play coverage as well. So I'm still holding out hope, man. Buck is 31, and there's still time for him to age well like fine wine at the plate, kind of like how Torrey did.
Well, I hope your optimism is founded in reality, LaVelle, because I'd love to see that. I'm not sure I have the confidence it's going to happen anymore. Hey, go ahead.
No, I totally agree with you. I understand where you're coming from. I would be nervous too about it. I'm just holding out hope.
Let's get to our Booze and Blues segment. First of all, very important, Patrick Royce, our colleague at Star Tribune, colleague of LaVelle's and mine, wrote a piece the other day detailing that Tony Oliva and Kent Herbeck, not only two great players, but two great Twins ambassadors, recently had strokes. I just want to send best wishes from this show and everybody for them. It's kind of amazing how they have been synonymous with the Twins brand for so many years. Both live in Minnesota. Of course, Kent grew up here, but both, they're the people that the Twins front office and marketing people and front office and business people call when they want the Twins represented. I just hope they are both okay. I hope they recover fully. Now let's get to our Booze and Blues segment. I will lead off with this. Love Elton John, not only as an artist, but he also had a fascinating life, fascinating career, fascinating beginning to his life. If you ever watch any documentaries on him, I watched one of the latter-day documentaries on him recently, and I learned something. I didn't know this. When Elton John was playing a lot in New York City, he had a long run at Madison Square Garden. He befriended John Lennon, who was living in New York at that time and really had stopped playing live at that point in his life. He put out albums. He really wasn't jamming much or going out, outside or going out and playing gigs anymore. And Elton John invited John Lennon. John Lennon had a song. I'm blanking on the song. It was it was like his last hit. He ended up bringing in Elton John to play on it. And then he went to sit in with Elton John and his band at Madison Square Garden, and they played it together live. Nobody knew at the time that would be John Lennon's last live performance, and it was fantastic. So if you ever get a chance to find that on YouTube or on an Elton John documentary, I highly recommend checking it out. That is my Booze and Blues contribution for today. Do either of you gentlemen have anything you want to bring up?
Yeah, I got a blues item for you folks today. On Saturday, the April 26th, there is a benefit for Pat Hayes. And Pat Hayes is a former frontman for the Lamont Cranston Band.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Apparently, Pat suffered a stroke on December 9th. And so they're having fundraisers for him, and they're performing another one on the 26th at the Medina Entertainment Center. And there's going to be auctions. There's stuff been donated from Bonnie Raitt and Dan Aykroyd. So, and Mick Sterling's going to be the MC. I had a chance to meet Mick Sterling a couple months ago at a luncheon in Lakeville honoring the USA 1980 Olympic hockey team. So Very nice man, very caring man whose charity work is unmatched. But yeah, those of you who are fans of Lamont Cranston Band and want to support Pat Hayes as he recovers from a stroke, the Medina Entertainment Center is the place to be on Saturday.
Good.
Not a whole lot better songs. Not a whole lot better songs than the Upper Mississippi Shakedown.
Roy coming through in the clutch there.
I got a quick story. I got a quick story about that. The Lamont Cranston, right after we won in '87. My wife and I and a couple of the couples, friends of ours, went to the Fine Line because Lamont Cranston was there. And so this is, I don't know, a week or two after we'd won. And we walk in the place, and the band had just finished a song, and I guess it was Pat Hayes. Looked up. It must be a baseball fan, because must have been, and hopefully still. But he said he recognized, he acknowledged that we had just walked in. That I just walked in. I wasn't with other Twins players, but I just walked in, and he said so over the in the mic. And the whole place got up and standing ovation, and they ended up playing Upper Mississippi Shakedown, and I mean it was just a riotous party all of a sudden. I mean it was just really really fun. I will always remember him and the band and that song. At that time.
Fantastic. Also, I used to go see Mick Sterling play at Bunkers. Great band, great singer. So yeah, glad to hear he's doing so well. Thanks for that update. Hey, good stuff, guys. Thanks for the Booze and Blues stuff. Thanks for at least some smatterings of optimism, at least about Keaschall. Let's hope this team gives us something to talk about all summer. So thanks for carrying the show. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.